Hello everybody, Patrick here, and today, oh boy, today. So you remember a little while back when I mentioned that I, was getting something big? Well, today, we are taking a look at the Transformers Robots in Disguise 2001 Ultra Magnus. This is actually going to be a little difficult to film, because space. But yes, this is a knockoff of the Encore Edition version of Robots in Disguise 01 Magnus. And he looks decent, especially in car carrier mode. Let's take a look at some details. You can see the windshields. You can see the super mode head in there. Got some. Oh, I just popped one of these off. I think you're actually supposed to have these in like this for car carrier mode, whatever. Yeah, as you can see, you can kind of see the combined mode head in there. Yeah, nice big golden Autobot symbol. No chrome on the chest. I don't mind because where the grill is in robot mode, it scrapes. Well, like, I wouldn't mind if Optimus didn't have chrome, but where there is chrome it makes sense and it's used very sparingly, such as right here on the grill. You see there's like freaking mini guns under here. That's cool. Yeah, and on the rims, which you can see. This one here says Transformers. These two say Cybertron. And then these two back here say God Magnus. And it's the same thing on the other side. If you didn't know, in Japan, Robots in Disguise was named Car Robots. Magnus here was God Magnus, not Ultra Magnus. But, anyway, got some nice detail in there. Show the detail up there. If you pop open the back here, you can see some nice grading detailing. And you can drive a car up the trailer. I need to find my car comparison. I'm using, the Bully Cliff Jumper Pack Cliff Jumper. You can drive him up, close that up, and he sits nice and securely, well, not securely, very loosely, but he sits in the trailer. If you want, you can have him on the roof. You can actually lower this ramp so he can, drive up onto the roof section. Obviously, this was made for a little bit bigger of cars than this guy, but But yeah. So I think that's basically all there really is for vehicle mode. I'm gonna move on because we have a lot to go through today with him. Yeah. Another quick look at some details. This is the underside. You can kind of see how things are gonna work. But yeah, so, comparisons. I don't even know if I can really get a good shot of these two. Here is Magnus with his brother, Optimus Prime. Move my phone stand. Yeah, these two look good together. I don't think a fire truck is that small compared to a car carrier, but I don't know. I've never seen a car carrier next to a fire truck before, so yeah, they're about the same length. Magnus is maybe a little bit longer. Yeah, so I'm gonna get Prime out of here, hopefully without breaking in. Yeah. So, gosh, Magnus is huge. Here he is with Legacy Velocitron R.I.D. Scourge. You see? I kind of believe that this is how big Scourge's all mode would be versus Magnus's. Kinda. Here he is against Mega Octane, who is way too fucking small to accurately scale with God Magnus here. But, you know. I already kind of showed it off, but, you know. Here he is next to Cliff Jumper. You know, a car. For the car carrier to carry. And here he is with the 86 Prime mold. Now this, I feel, is probably a little bit more accurate as to how a truck, you know, another semi would scale with Magnus's car carrier. But yeah. So anyway, let's get down to transformation. First thing we're going to do, I'm going to come back here and flip this ramp up and just, you know, clip it in like that. You have to, you know, unclip it for vehicle mode. Then you're going to want to untab this section. Don't bring that out. Untab. And you have, you know, you're also going to want to kind of press these down. And you have just the truck section of Magnus, which can roll by itself. One thing I forgot to mention, these tires are rubber or a rubber-like material. So, hey. We are going to start with the trailer, and I'm already going to have to bring out my box so you guys can kind of see what's going on. What you're going to want to do is untab these sections from these blue sections, rip the legs in half, like this, fold this blue section back, fold this section, or bring this section back so you can untab and swing this around, tab it back in. Technically for vehicle mode, this is supposed to be up like this, you know, like that, but I just prefer the way this looks, and you can leave, you know, bring it up for robot mode, but then he has even less heel support than he already does, so. Anyway, tab this in, bring this up, it will tab in right there. Bring that section down, and swing out that. There you have one leg all done. Second verse is exactly like the first, as Emgo says. Bada bing, bada boom, and his legs are done. And even with my camera raised, the legs alone are barely in shot. But now let's get on to the rest of the truck, which this thing is heavy. This thing has some weight to it. Damn. Alright, we're going to bring the camera down a little bit. Okay, so what you want to do is open these panels up like this. Bring this section up, and then bring these back. They don't tab in anywhere. Little unfortunate, but you know. You're going to want to come back here and go ahead and split this. Raise one of these up, flip them around like this. You're going to want to untab this and swing it back. You're also going to want to get these back like this. And there we go, a little bit. You're going to want to kind of bring the section down. You might want to untab it first, so you can bring the rest of the legs out. And then bring it back. It will tab in just like that into the red sections. Just like that. You're going to want to come up to the arms and untab them. Bring them down. Fold these sections up. The arms are going to tab into these sections right here. As you can see, there's tab, slot, boom, rotate the arm, bring the hand up and orient it properly. Do the same thing on the side, tab that in, rotate, flip up, And what you're going to want to do is bring the legs in. They will just tab in or plug in right here. Plug in right there. Plug in like that. We are almost done. We are at the home stretch. He does not want to stand. Or he does not want to stand up straight or at all, really. I'll get into that. He just has no heels. And a heavy-ass backpack. Raise my camera. We're then going to want to flip this chest piece down. Flip out these two panels right here. Bring the head up. Rotate it around like that. Bring it down. It will tab in like that. Rotate the head around. And here we have God Magnus in robot mode. And this guy is really weird proportionally. Oh, also, he comes with blue bolts, which I currently have in rifle configuration. You can store it in vehicle mode. If you notice these tabs right here, they will go on to one of the 5mm ports back here. Anyway, just wanted to point that out since I forgot to do it before transforming him. But yeah, so here's God Magnus in robot mode. But yeah, and like, God Magnus, more like, God damn, those legs go all the way up. Yeah, he looks good though. Look, I don't know about good actually. He looks decent. But yeah, I'm not gonna deny this guy's proportions are really weird. But I mean, hey, he's not the worst looking robot I've ever seen. But let's get in close on the head sculpt. And yeah, it definitely fits the angsty teen vibe he had in the show. Like, this looks like, you know, one of those quiet kids who, you know, he's suspected of being a shooter. But whoa. I'm leaving that in. I'm leaving that in. But yeah. He's got some nice detail. Nothing we really haven't seen already other than the head. But, you know, the arms have some decent detail throughout. But yeah, now if we spin him around here to the back and lower the camera, you can see his legs are fucking hollow as hell. I do wish, you know, he had more heel support because yeah, this guy cannot stand very well. That's why I have him leaning against the backdrop. But yeah, for articulation, the head is on a ball joint. And wiggle waggle up, down, 360. The arms are on ball joints, and these are on swivels, so you can get a full 360. If you don't want to move this, his arms can only go out about that far. They can go outwards about that far. The wrist or elbows are ball joints, so you can do a full 360. Go up only that far because of how he's constructed. The fists are on ball joints, so you can bring them in. You can rotate them. The hands can open and close, and the thumb is a separate joint. He has no waist due to how he's constructed. Legs can kick forward that far. However, as you can see, they aren't very strong. They're just frictioned in place. Can't kick back. Outwards, he can do more than the full split. Well, he can do, you know, full splits. Outward is ratcheted, forward and back isn't, so, you know. He's got actually really freaking good knees. Too bad you can't really use that. Yeah. And no, nothing at the feet. Yeah. You can't really use it, because if you try to put him in a pose, like, you know, even something like... Oh yeah, he's also got thigh rotation. Yeah, if you try to put him in a pose like this, he falls, because he has no heels. So yeah. Really quickly, so I don't forget, let's show off Blue Bolts, the cannon. It's just a gun, it does not transform, because this was the original figure, not the HasLab. I still want the HasLab, but this is more than sufficing. Yeah. But yeah, it's got firing missiles. Yeah, you can hold it in multiple ways. If you want it in this configuration, you've got... Actually, there's something I need to show off before I can do that. He has, if you come under here, you see this red little button right here? You push that. Let's get him a little bit, let's get the voice box a little bit closer. I don't know if you could really hear that, but he does have a working voice box in Japanese, which is why I'm referring to him as God Magnus rather than Ultra Magnus, because he screams God Magnus instead, because that was his name in Japan. Anyway, there's these bright blue buttons right here, and if you can see this one, the pegs are circular. The holes are circular, and this one, they are squared. So you want to line those up, preferably without setting it off. And just do that. There's ports, or pegs right here, ports in his hands, that you can plug them into. You can position the hand so it looks like he's holding the guns. Same thing on this side, and you can flip up this little scope section, and that looks ridiculous, but if you come back here, it changes the sounds, which is really cool. But yeah, you can also hold it another way. If you take the cannon, bring these sections down, rotate these around like this, bring one section up and rotate it, bring the other section this back and bring that up like this, and then rotate this. You can hold it so this part or this part are facing forward. Doesn't really matter. And you just plug it into the corresponding hole. Plug the corresponding fist back in. You can bring this down, I guess. And you can just single hold this giant cannon. And it does slightly change the noises. Yeah. Or you can have him just with it down like this in a more at-ease pose. So, yeah, that is God Magnus in robot mode. For comparison, Cliff Jumper, who is barely able to be seen in frame with how tall Magnus is. Here he is with Mega Octane. Yeah, he's tiny. Here he is with Legacy Rid 01 Scourge. Here he is with the 86 Prime mold. And here he is with his brother Optimus in his core robot mode. And give me just a couple of seconds and I will get Core Optimus into Super Optimus mode. Alright, here he is with Super Mode Optimus. Let's try and get them same. As you can see, Magnus is still taller. And because I don't remember if I showed it off in Ruination's video, here they both are with Ruination. Ruination is tiny. These guys, yeah. Yeah. Now, if that's all God Magnus did, I would be pretty satisfied. You know, I still wouldn't like the weird proportions, but, you know. But, you know, that's not all this guy can do. Because we have to get down to transformation one last time. So, what you're going to want to do is take blue bolts, set it off to the side. I'm going to move Magnus just a minute, because I need to get this guy back into base prime mode. Okay, back into base prime mode. Now, if you guys have seen R.I.D. 2001, or have seen reviews for the HasLab, you know these two combine into GodFire Convoy, if you're on the Japanese side, speaking of the fandom, which I will be referring to this guy as GodFire Convoy, because Magnus has the voice box for the combined mode, and he's in Japanese, so. But if you're in the English-speaking fandom, side of the fandom, you know this combination more as Omega Prime. So, now that we have both figures down to what they need, we're going to set Prime off to the side for a minute. We're going to come to Magnus, we're going to open his arms up, and then what I do is I close these back up because I just like fully unflipping it on Prime. We're going to do the same thing on this side. As you can see, it's held by, you know, these ports, and there's tabs in the port, and there's tabs on the other side. We're going to set those arms off to the side. Whoop. We are going to then rip his legs off again. And we are ready to start. That's all the ripping apart you need, thankfully. So we are going to start prepping. Gotta make sure you prep. You're gonna want to basically hold the knees back down. Take this. You're gonna want to make sure this piece is folded back, and flip it back around like for vehicle mode, and then compress it. You're going to take this section, flip it up, push this section out, and tab it in. It tabs in right there. And you're going to fold the foot down, and then this section is all ready to go. Same thing on the opposite side, fold that down, blah blah blah, rotate, flip this down, accordion that in, up, down, this tabs, and then we have the feet all prepped. So we are now going to prep Magnus, who is wanting to come apart already. You're going to want to come back here and get one of these up and in this kind of T section, so you can straighten this out, and bring the head up through this gap and back like this. Rotate the head and then rotate it again like this. Bring this section down. Return this to its robot mode configuration. Bring Magnus's head down, so it kind of hides it. Rotate these. I rotate this section as well, and bring this back. Same thing on the opposite side. Untab the arms. You're going to want to spread the chest plate so you can bring this up and back, and just these sections just rest right here. They just rest. And then I bring this back and line it up as flush as I can. Line it up as flush as you can. You are then going to want to come here, untab this, fold these in. This section is really loose on mine. You're then going to want to untab the front section, bring it up, rotate what was his legs in, like this. Fold these red sections out, and fold these red sections down. And then you have the chest all prepped for combine mode. Make sure this is like this. Alright, whoosh. Now, we can start combining. Optimus, the only prep you really want for him. Back, bring these down, extend his chest, bring his arms out. So you're going to attach his feet. They just plug. You can see there's a little bit of a port right here, or the peg. It'll plug into the bottom of his foot. Just plug in. You're going to want to bring this section in and tab it into that port right there. Bring this up and tab it in like for vehicle mode, like that. You're going to want to do the same thing on the opposite side. So just plant that foot into there like this. Close that. Bring this up. And you have the legs all done. Woof. The hands. You're going to want to take the thumb. There's a peg right there. They'll tab into Prime's hand. Yeah, because in the show, how they activate Omega Prime mode is by doing a handshake. So you have to do that with the figures. And like that. Now, you're going to want to rotate these sections 180. Rotate 180 at the wrist. And then you're going to want to completely unfold them. There's two tabs. The two tabs, two slots. Just like that. That holds, holds the arm securely in place. And then you just unfold the other three panels around Optimus's hand, or around his arm. Like that. Now he has his big old mittens. Now, what we want to do is take the chest. You're going to want to kind of have the chest up like that so you can see how to... Let me raise the camera. Just so you can see better. There are these two buttons right here. Two tabs, or two ports, which these tabs right here will go into. And then just drop that down like that. You are going to want to collapse the chest, so it's, in the middle, like for super mode. Then you're going to want to bring the chest down. It will clip in just like the super mode chest. And then we are almost done with this. Can I bring this back down to ground level? Probably not. Not yet, at least. You're going to want to come up here, flip this section out. This is supposed to stay, but mine doesn't. Anyway, there is a port right here, and this clear post will go into that. And then, boom, you have GodFire Convoy / Omega Prime, and holy fuck! Oh, this looks cool. It's not as proportional as the HasLab, but this is a 2001. I am more than willing to forgive that. Again, 2001. One thing I do kind of wish is that Blue Bolts had a robot mode, but again, that wasn't a thing until the HasLab. But yeah, just drink it in. All of this nice chunky early 2000s, you know, giant robot. Oh, fuck yes. Let's get in close on not the chest, the head. That's too high. The head. As you can see, the head is like a grander version of the super mode head, which I don't mind. The super mode in Japan, GodFire Convoy was basically just an upgraded version of Fire Convoy / Optimus. So I don't mind the combined mode head being essentially a grander version of his super mode head, because it's basically a grander super mode for him. He's got a nice, grandiose chest plate that is not practical at all, but it looks cool. Nice big gold Autobot emblem. Yeah. Yeah. Drink it in, guys. Holy fuck. Yeah. And then, you know, as you can see, Magus's, knees become the shins. You got new feet. And then, yeah, this is really freaking cool. Articulation, he has a decent bit, but forget about actually using it, because he is very heavy and Prime's joints are not that strong. I don't care, though. It doesn't take a lot to get him to look dynamic, so I don't mind. But the head is on a ball joint. You know, little bit of wiggly waggly, not really, though. You can look up, can't really look down. You can do a full 360. The arms, whoa, as I knock over my camera again. The arms, kind of forget about it. You can move the chest plate out of the way, but as you can see, there's these flaps right here that this is as far up as they go. But, he can move his arm about that far forward before things start really getting in the way. He can move his arm about that far back. Outwards, you know. For the most part, it's just, you know, base Prime's articulation, because it is basically base Optimus Prime wearing Magus's armor. But yeah. You've got bicep rotation that is very, very weak. Again, I don't care. It doesn't take a lot to get him to look good. About 90 degrees of bend at the elbows. You have fist rotation. The fists are on a ball joint, as you can see. So you can bring him down in the, you know, gay pose. The thumb can hinge up and down. These fingers are fused together and can only do that or that. And you can get him to recreate Elon Musk's favorite salute if you really wanted to for some reason. Watch, my channel's gonna get banned for saying that. Yeah. Waist. He does still have his waist rotation. You can't get a hell of a lot. Well, you know, that's about as much as you get, but do you really need any more? You can still utilize that, you know, bottom ratchet as an ab crunch if you really want him to. The legs can kick forward that far, backwards about that far, outwards you can get about that much, but as you can see, Prime's ratchets are very weak. You just have your below the knee swivel, and you can only get about that much bend because of the you know, back of the foot kibble. But something kind of nice is you do get ankle pivot, and you can move the toes down if you need to. So yeah, that is articulation. Oh boy. Yeah, this guy is big and grandiose, and I love it. For comparison, here you have Cliff Jumper, who you can barely see. To get most of Cliff Jumper in frame, I have to cut off Omega Prime's head. GodFire Convoy said, wow. Yeah. Here he is with, Velocitron Scourge. Here he is with the 86 Prime mold. And here, well, I can't say and because there's still a couple more. Here he is with Ruination. How is that supposed to be a fair fight? Ruination is, even if you're including his massive, you know, shoulder spires, he is not as tall as you know, GodFire Convoy. But anyway, and here is the final comparison of the day for, well, I can't say that because I'm not gonna do comparisons for the other thing, but whatever. Here he is with Menasor, a modern combiner. And as you can see, he's a decent bit shorter, which makes sense, and, you know, I think that looks good. So if you're wanting, you know, to know how the original GodFire Convoy scales with a modern combiner, and how he will scale with Bruticus, because Bruticus is probably going to be the same size, well, there you go. Now, it's still not everything this toy does. You do still have access to that button for quotes, GodFire Attack. That sounds like he says GodFire Cheat. That sounds like he says Super Gundam Sword. And then this one, which is actually really cool. That is both Magnus and Prime's voice actors yelling, you know, basically combined GodFire Convoy. And, whoa. If you notice, his eyes are black right now, but that little post that the head plate pegs into is clear, and that's what was flashing. And that's what's flashing the lights. Well, turns out the ball joint his head is on and the inside of his head are also clear. So his eyes glow as well, and because the entire of the head is, you know, inside of the head is, you know, clear with just that light shining up. No matter where you turn his head, he is going to be lighting up, and you don't have to worry about breaking wires. Hell yeah! Now, you might be wondering what you do with blue bolts here. Well, number one, you can kind of get him to hold it, like not, you know, up in a firing pose. Partly because it just wasn't designed for that, and partly because of Prime's weak joints, but what you can do, I need to reverse this, which is as easy as just doing, as, you know, taking this stick down, flipping it around, that, and rotate, because you need the circular pegs. You can bend Prime's elbow. If you open up his hand, you can see there's a port in there. And you can plug blue bolts in like that, bring it down, and it looks like he is, you know, just kind of resting blue bolts down like that. And then you know, bring this arm up, kind of, you know, maneuver things, so it looks like that, and that's what I mean by it's not hard to make him look dynamic, because that looks really cool. And you don't have to do shit with the knees, with the legs and knees. But, you know, you can, of course, put blue bolts on his shoulders. So, what you're going to want to do is just kind of go ahead and, you know, bring the legs down. You can see the port, you know, the peg stuffs are you know, on here as well. Or on here, and of course you have to line those up. It's going to be facing forward like this. Rotate, and either configuration you want for the guns you can do. You know, if you want this to be on that side, you can. It doesn't really matter. Then you're going to, of course, because these are the same things that plug into here on Mangus. So, just going to line those same holes up with the pegs that are now on the top of blue bolts. Squeeze those down, and as you saw, this panel just fell off. That panel really likes to fall off. That one specifically. Yeah. And, you know, that way you can do this. And it does, just like with Mangus, it does change the sounds. Yeah. So, that is Omega Prime. However, that's still not everything this figure can do. Because you can actually store all of Prime's super mode bits on this guy to create Super Fire Convoy. I'll show you guys how I do it, even though this video is already probably going to be like an hour long. We're at like, what, 42 minutes? But still. So, I'm going to need to lower the camera for this part and spread his arms. So, there are 5mm ports literally right here. And there are pegs in here, ports. You can, you might want the missile pods facing forward. Squeeze that on, and that will be like that. So you can do that. Do that on the opposite side. I typically fold the toes down a little bit. Yeah. You're gonna want to. The only way he's gonna stand is in a spread leg pose like this. This arm. There's multiple ways you can do this. You can have these hand sections. And wherever they went, shoulders, you know, pegged together and pegged into Mangus's arms, where they're, you know, like basically coattails. What I do is I go ahead, and this is not the right one, is I go ahead and plug this one into his forearm with this peg and this, you know, this connection right here, like that. Okay. You following me? You following me? Give me one sec. Okay. And then we're going to carefully spin him around so I can show you. And then kind of angle him up. Also, this is kind of a side view of him. Yeah, he got a belly, but whatever. I take the gun and plug it right into Mangus's arm like this. Just kind of position it so it's pointing over the shoulder. Okay, okay. So most pictures I see of Super GodFire Convoy, they don't have the ladder. So, because I don't think a lot of people know you can do this because there's like no images of it online. So that leads me to believe not a lot of people know you can actually store all of Super Mode Prime's bits on GodFire Convoy. But what I do is I take the ladder. You have these, you know, ports right here. I take this arm and go ahead and plug it into, I think it's this port. And then I also rotate the head so it's pointing that. Put that in. Put this port, this peg. And it's not the easiest thing in the world to do, nor is it the most secure, but there you go. And then these pieces, you can, you know, like plug one on here, but like you know. What I do is, we're going back to the top floor, and hopefully this will actually, my camera will actually stay. While I do this, I'm gonna have to rotate these so I can show you. These pegs right here, lift this up a little bit. There's these ports in these shoulders, and you can have it so either like this or like this, either way. And then you just plug it that. Sorry, I'm trying to hold the camera so it doesn't fall. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and plug those in off camera, aka just while I'm talking, and show you guys how that looks here in just a second. But yeah, this is like the definition of overkill. Okay. As you can see, it puts a lot of weight on this arm because of, you know, the ladder, but, you know. Go ahead and open that. Bring this arm forward a little bit. Bring out the missiles. And step back to admire the glory. Move my fucking review box. Or my box stand. Here you have my iteration of Super GodFire Convoy. God fucking damn, this thing is massive, but really cool. It doesn't really gain any extra height, so I'm not going to do comparisons. Yeah, any Decepticon that goes up against this guy is, I am confidently saying they're fucked. Yeah, this thing is massive. Is it the most stable thing in the world? No. Not by a long shot. It is very unstable. I mean, GodFire Convoy is already unstable because of how much he weighs. But adding in all this makes him even more unstable. But come on, this looks fucking cool. Anyway guys, this is gonna be a 50-minute video. Yeah, so that has been my review of God Magnus / GodFire Convoy. If you want this guy for yourself, you're either gonna have to get the HasLab, or you're gonna have to go through eBay to get the originals. Recommending one or the other is a little hard. I don't have the HasLab because it's super expensive. This set wasn't cheap either. I think Prime costs like $100, $150. And Magnus, even though it's a knockoff, was like 60 something, but I bought it off AliExpress. So with import fees and everything, the total came up to like 90 something dollars. So this still costs over $200. But that is like $200 cheaper than you will find the HasLab. But keep in mind, you know, this guy is not great. The HasLab is, from what I hear, superior in build quality and stability. Not to mention the chest is a little shorter, or, you know, doesn't stick out as much, and Blue Bolts transforms. But, on the other hand, this is more than enough to satisfy you if you just want an Omega Prime. You know? Plus, this has the added benefit of both of them having lights, sounds, and firing missiles. So, you know, it's a toss-up. But yeah, I really like this guy. And I didn't even actually show off some of the details that get exposed, like the Autobot emblem in the arms. But yeah. Or the Mercedes emblems right there, and right there. But yeah, guys. Anyway, this video's already been long enough. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Peace.